Hello and welcome back to my channel, B-Boss Kitchen. I bought some country style ribs the other day at the grocery store that was a manager's special. They'd marked them down, so they were starting to get old and they needed to get rid of them, so I bought them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to salt and pepper and flour these, and I'm going to fry them, and then I'm going to put them in my pressure pot and cook them. I've never done that, so I don't know how that's going to turn out, but I'm going to try it. So let me get started. I want to salt all of them. I rinsed them off really good. And now I'm going to pepper. Okay, I've got my oil heating up, so I've got self-rising flour here, and I'm just going to dip them in the flour. I'm going to coat them really good. This may turn out to be a real flop, so if it does, Matthew and Heather's pigs can eat them. Of course, Heather thinks it's crazy for the pigs to eat pork. She says that's just not right. But anyway, hopefully they will turn out okay. Matthew has two, they were wild pigs that somebody caught and gave to him. You know, I have expressed before, I'm going to take this off the heat. I'm really getting it heated up. I have expressed before to you how I love animals. I'm really over the top with that. Maybe a little extreme. I don't know. I've had all types of animals in my lifetime. Matthew had bought some hogs, and he was going to raise some pigs to butcher, and of course he didn't know anything about farming. I didn't know anything about farming animals, and so we didn't know that when the pigs were born they have to be wormed. So anyway, he had two sows that was pregnant. They gave birth to 15 pigs, and he had one that survived. And the kids named her Princess. And so when Matthew was 2 years old, my daddy had given me a pig. He had some hogs. And he had given me a white pig, and I named her Samantha. And she was really, really smart. Matthew's daddy, who I was married to at the time, he was like me. He loved animals, so we didn't dare think about butchering Samantha. We lived out on an old home place. It was a farm. Of course, we didn't farm it. Our landlord did. And we kept her. It finally got so ridiculous because, you know, we were poorer than church mouse, and it got to the place it was really costing for us to keep her up. So we traded her out for a month's rent, and our landlord kept her until we moved from there. And I'm sure he used her as a brood sow, but I'm sure he probably either sold her or had her butchered. I don't know. But I loved that hog. She would obey me, whatever I would tell her. You know, I mean, she'd get out of the pen when Mr. Cruz took ownership of her, and he couldn't get her to respond to him. She wouldn't come to him. He'd have to come to the house and get me to go out to the road and call her, and she would come running right to me when I'd call her. But anyhow, Princess, she developed a navel hernia. And so I told Matthew, I said, we've got to take her to the vet. So I took her to the vet, and he performed surgery and corrected her hernia. Cost me a nice little chunk of change. I think it was about $250 or $300. And so then I brought her back, And then a little while later, she had about doubled, I guess, in size. She was a few months old when one of the bigger hogs evidently had stepped on her leg, and Matthew was thinking her foot was broken. And so he told me, he says, Mama, I think her foot is broke, because she would point her little toes down, but she wouldn't put her weight on it. She limped, she hopped. Well, I wound up taking her to the vet again to see if her foot or leg was broken. And of course, he had to put her to sleep to x-ray her. And he told me when I went back to get her, he said, well, Princess was not near as friendly this time as she was the first time. But anyway, it wound up, I had $700 in this pig, and I had grown quite an attachment to her. And so I told Matthew, I said, she will never, ever be butchered. And he said, oh, Mom, I would never have her butchered. He said, no, we wouldn't butcher her. He said, I'll just sell her. I said, oh, no, you are wrong. She won't ever be sold either. She will never be butchered. She will never be sold. And so Princess became a pet to me. She became a thorn in Matthew and Heather's side because she lived at their house, and and they had to take care of her. Of course, I would give him money to help with her food bill, and I would carry feed to her every Sunday. I would take all my scraps and everything, and I would go out to her. Oh, she knew me. I'm telling you, she did. Of course, Matthew says, oh, she does that with everybody, but I would call her. She would hear me walking out to the pen where she was at, and I'd call her name, and oh boy, she would go to talking and just drooling, because she knew she was about to get some really good food, because they only fed her corn. So anyhow, long story short, she would have been 3 in June, but Christmas Day, we had Christmas here, and when the kids was leaving that night, Matthew told me, he says, Mom, I've got some really sad news to tell you. And I said, what? And he said, Princess is gone. And I said, what do you mean, Princess is gone? We had had a good bit of rain several days prior to that, and he said, I guess when it rained so much the other day, he said, I think it weighted down some dog fennel weeds, and it got on the fence. She had an electric fence that kept her in, and she would know when that fence wasn't on. And he said she rooted out and she's gone. Oh my gosh, I was devastated. I held back until he got gone, and when he left, I just cried and cried. I was so upset. He felt like she had gone into a hunting club that joined their property, behind their property. And he said if she has gone into that hunting club, and of course it was hunting season, deers, you know, and they'd be out there hunting, he said they'll kill her. She probably weighed 400 pounds. She was huge. But he tried putting food in her pen, but she never came back. And so I was really devastated over Princess. So you would think I wouldn't eat any meat, you know, but I do. I like meat, but I'm not going to raise one, kill it, and eat it. I cannot do that. So enough about my history of my pigs. Okay. I'm going to slip this back on the burner. I just want to brown it, and then I'm going to put it into the pressure pot and cook it, but I just kind of want to brown it up. We had a pet possum also. I know people will think, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you had a possum. But Gracie, Matthew and Heather's oldest, my oldest granddaughter, She raised her for the first year. They had, my oldest son found the mother had been run over just down the road here from my house. And he saw movement when he went by. It was late at night. And he turned around and he went back. And this mama, she had 8 babies. And one of the babies had perished in her getting run over. It killed it too. But anyway, Gracie, we named her Zoe, or Gracie did. We kept them, I think it was for about 6 weeks. And finally, I mean, we were having to feed them with an eyedropper every couple of hours. And I had a little miniature schnauzer at that time also. Her name was Sassy. And she just would mother those babies. And I think they thought that she was their mama. They would crawl up in her hair. I've got pictures of them up in her fur. But anyway, we would feed and take care of them, and of course, you know, you have to clean their little bottom to get get them to go to the bathroom. Just like a mama cat or a mama dog licks their baby's bottom, and it's to activate them to be excused. And so we would do that with these little possums, and I was helping with them. Gracie, actually, I think during that time, we kind of shared the nursing of those babies. And in the long stretch of that, I got real attached to them. Well, we finally located a young woman in Savannah that she was a college student, and she had a permit to take possums and raise them long enough that they could be released to the wild. And so we contacted her. She said that she would take them. And so I and my sister, Jairus, carried those babies. We carried her 6. We didn't tell her we had the 7th one. We decided Gracie just could not part with all of them. I tried to get her to, take all 7. But she wanted to keep one. And so I took the 6 to Savannah, and we had them in a pen that Ashley had built. When he got them, he built a screened-in box, and you had to keep them really warm because they stay in their mama's pouch when they're real little, and then as they start getting bigger, they get in their mama's hair. But anyway, Jairus and I went, and I kept saying to her, I said, if this place doesn't look according to my standards, I'm not leaving these babies with her. And so we got there, and of course it looked, the area, the neighborhood, it did not look the best in the world. I mean, it wasn't awful, but it didn't look the best. And I just started getting so upset. I mean, I was on the verge of pulling off when this girl walked out and came to my truck. I couldn't even talk to her. I was crying. I had these babies. They were crawling all over me. And I told Jairus, I said, I just can't leave my babies here. Oh, I was just so upset. Well, when the girl got to the truck, I was so distraught I couldn't even talk. And so Jairus questioned her about what her process was, how she would take care of them. And she told her, she said, you have to overlook my sister. She is really distraught and just cannot talk right now. And so the girl was very reassuring to me. She told me what she would do, and she said, I know you live a good distance from here, but you can call me and I will send you pictures, She said, I wouldn't be opposed to your coming to see them, but I know you live so far away, that might not be a convenience for you. So she took them, she put them in a skull cap, you know, a knitted hat. She put them in that, and she took them, and we communicated back and forth a few times, and she sent pictures to me. And so we kept Zoe, and Gracie kept her for the first year. She would bathe her in the bathtub. She was kept in a crate. Of course, we let her walk around. And I don't know what actually happened, but I think Zoe was blind because her eyes looked sort of milky. But she was absolutely the sweetest animal, you know, and people have always talked so bad about possums. Oh, they're scavengers, they're nasty. Well, they're scavengers because they're not vicious. They don't go out and kill what they eat. And they're not nasty. She was like a cat. She would wash her face, you know, and we kept her bathed. She got really, really fat. People would come to see me when I had a roof put on my house. I told the guys that was doing it, I said, I have a pet possum, because I kept her the last year. And when they saw her, the guy said, I told him, I said, do you want to hold her? He said, will she bite me? I said, no, she won't bite you. I mean, human contact was all she was familiar with. But that was most everybody's reaction to her, was afraid she was going to bite them. But I had 2 large dogs at the time, and I had the 2 small dogs. I had my little Maltipoo, and I had my Schnauzer. And then I had 2 dogs that were sisters that were part lab and part setter. And they never messed with her. I would take Zoe out in the backyard. My backyard is fenced in. And let her walk around. I mean, she didn't live in a crate all the time. She walked around my house. I would take her out in the yard, and she would walk around. Of course, the dogs would go, they'd sniff her just a little bit and turn and walk off, you know. They'd be doing their thing in the yard, and Zoe would be doing her thing. So please don't give possums a bad rap. They have a very short lifespan. In the wild, they'll live about a year. In captivity, they can live up to 2 years, but they have a very short lifespan. And she died on March the 13th, was 2 years ago. And that was another sad time for me. I had her, and I cried and cried and cried when my Zoe died. Didn't I, Lily? My Lily Bell's my sweetheart. Okay, get in. But anyway, I really, really, really love animals. That's the way God made me, and so that's just how I am. My son, Matthew, thinks I'm a little crazy with it, but I guess I am crazy. I've said that before, but that's okay too. It's how God made me. So he likes crazy folks just as good as he likes sane ones. But there has to be somebody to love the animals. Okay, back up. I got to get a plate. Let Mama go get a plate. I've had a pet raccoon before with my children. When we lived on that farm, and when we moved from that farm, I actually caught a baby fawn deer. I only kept her, which I named her Princess, but I kept her for a month and then I released her. But I've had baby possums, I've had baby squirrels, I had a baby armadillo one time. I've had rabbits, I've had cats, I've had dogs, lots and lots and lots of dogs. But that's kind of the history of me with my love for animals. I do not like snakes or spiders, that kind of thing. I don't like. I do love little green lizards. I like frogs. I guess you may say I'm a little odd. I love birds. My hummingbirds are back. They came on the 15th was the first day I saw them. So I have my feeders filled up and they are having a heyday with it. Well, I'm going to make a mess in spite of it all, I guess. I may make a mess anyway the way I'm cooking them. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I'm afraid they may be tough if I don't cook them in my pressure pot. I'm cooking these on a medium heat. I just want to brown it. My idea behind all of this, because I have to have water in my pressure pot, is that maybe it will make a little bit of a gravy. I don't know. It may not work that way. I just don't know. I probably should and I will maybe after it gets through cooking, I may make a gravy to put with it. But I'm going to go ahead and take these up. I think they're brown enough. I'll move my pan off of the heat. These glass top stoves stay hot for quite a while. Okay, move this over. And you can see I have according to this marker, I've got about 8 cups of water in there. So I'm going to put my ribs in. I think I will add some extra salt to the water, and then I'll put the lid on it. Set it and forget it. Remember that commercial? Okay, let's see. Let me move my mixer. My kitchen is so tiny. If I had the money, I would have my garage closed in and make me a big kitchen. Okay, I've set it for 99 minutes. That would be about an hour and a half, a little bit over an hour and a half. I may check it in an hour and see how it is, but I will come back when it gets through cooking and we'll see how it turns out. So I'll see you in a little while. Okay, the ribs cooked for about an hour, maybe just a few minutes over an hour, and I turned it off. They are cooked to death. You can see how they're just falling apart. So no problem. I don't think I'm going to have any tough ribs. It looks good. So I'll try to fish these out. Wow, they are really falling all apart. Maybe I shouldn't have cooked them that long, but oh well, it'll be good. We're about to have some really bad weather here. They did have a tornado warning up on the TV a few minutes ago, for my area, but they've canceled it. So that's a good thing. But we got severe thunderstorms coming. So I want to get through with this before I possibly could lose power. Not that I'm anticipating that. I hope we don't, but you never know when you have bad weather. Okay, you can see how they look. This is my gravy, and I could add some browning seasoning to this to make it a little darker. Some kitchen bouquet. So I think I will do that and make it just a little bit darker than it is. It won't take much. Let me stir that in. I can serve this over rice or serve it over potatoes. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to bake me a couple of potatoes, and then I'll just mash them up on my plate. Let me do a taste test. Okay, I'm just going to taste the meat just so that I can tell you what it's like. It's very, very tender. Oh my gosh, that's good. Oh my goodness. That is delicious. I think by flouring it and then frying it some, just browning it a little bit before I put it in the water in the pressure cook, that gave it a whole different flavor. You know, I cooked the pork roast the other day. I did my video of that in the pressure pot, and it was absolutely delicious. But now it had a different flavor from this. I think the flour and the oil all combined is making the difference in the way this tastes. It is really good. Oh my goodness. You almost don't even have to chew it. It's just super, super tender. About an hour in the pressure cooker. So thank you for watching. I hope that you have a good rest of the day, whatever time of the day you're watching this. It's beginning to become nightfall here. It's on a Saturday. So I'm going to cook me some potatoes and serve my gravy over it. I'll probably fix a plate for my older son that lives up the road and run it to him. But until the next time, I would like to ask you, if you have not subscribed, won't you please subscribe? Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, click the bell, and until the next time, may the Lord bless and keep you and your family safe. And I hope to see you really soon. This is B-Boss, and have a great rest of the day. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.